Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to EmpowerED Educator. I hope you had an amazing week last week. For many of you, you wrapped up your school year, especially if you're in the Houston area and probably some of the other southern states. I know there's a few weeks left for a couple districts here, at least one here in our area, but many are done, and then a few weeks left around the country here in the United States anyway. But I have to say for us, it was an amazing last week of school. Busy, but in my new role that I do, which I chose specifically, much easier. I even said to someone, wow, this role is completely different than the principal role. And I didn't get sick and I was still able to get all the things done. So having said all that, no matter where you are in your journey through the school year, good luck to you. I hope that things are going well. It's Memorial Day here in the United States as I'm recording, and we should be enjoying a day off. So that's always exciting as well. Having said all that, I was thinking about something yesterday. I was at an event, actually a former student's graduation, and I had to drive a couple of hours to get there and get home. And it gave me some think time in the car. And as I was sitting there talking to my former assistant principal at the first school that I became a principal, I hadn't seen her in years, and we were catching up and just talking about students and people we know and all the things. And it was brought to my attention that there is a new trend, let's say, out there in the world of education where kids are deciding that they do want to be educators, but they don't want to work in public education. But instead, they want to go to school, get their degree in education, whatever it is, and teach teachers how to be teachers. And everybody has mixed feelings about this, so I'm sure today's episode is going to be a little controversial. So please forgive me ahead of time. I certainly don't mean to offend anyone, but I do have to be very, very transparent. There is no way that I would be able to walk into a law firm as a consultant, as a smart woman, as someone who has spent time studying at Harvard University and teach lawyers how to be lawyers. I don't have any idea how to do that. Now, yes, I could go learn. I could go learn theory. I could go read books. I bet I could even observe and probably figure out how to be a lawyer. But what about the stuff that's not theory? What about the stuff that's not in a book? I believe to be an amazing teacher, we have to have the experience of doing the work. And this conversation led to then hearing someone say, yeah, I know a girl who got a teaching position, quit after 3 months, and is now teaching at a university, teaching teachers how to teach. Now let's think about that. If you quit your job after 3 months, you're breaking a contract, right? Because public ed, you're going to get a contract. You're probably doing it because you have a bad taste in your mouth for the work that you did. And now you're going out there to teach those that are motivated to want to do and make a difference in the world. I don't know. I keep feeling like there's something broken with this system. I keep feeling that what if the people that are teaching people how to teach, how to be school leaders, how to be district leaders, how to do this thing, actually did the thing and they were successful at it? What kind of difference would that make for our brand new people out in the world? I had a unique college experience. I started my bachelor's degree at a community college, right? So I had an associate's degree. And at that college, because it was in my small town, many of my former high school teachers were instructors at the college as extra, work and that kind of thing. So I knew my math, my calculus teacher. I knew my science teacher. I knew of my history teacher those first couple of years, right? But there were a lot of teachers I didn't know. But they were teaching me book stuff. Your associate's degree is not necessarily teaching you how to be a teacher, right? It's teaching you about those general courses. What do you need to know about history in order to get a college degree, science, et cetera, et cetera. I finished that degree and started finalizing my bachelor's degree at a satellite campus for a university in Iowa. And this campus employed current teachers or retired teachers from our school district. There was not one person who taught me, who supervised my student teaching experience. Not one of those people did anything but teach in their previous years. And not just teach at the college level, actually in a classroom working with students. Then I go to Houston and I start working on my master's program. And my master's program was specifically designed for ESL and bilingual teachers to become principals in the Houston area. We had the chief officer of finance teach us school budget from one of the big districts. We had a former superintendent of HISD teach us school leadership. We had a school law person, someone who actually ran a law firm for a school law company, teach us school law. Designed specifically for the courses we were taking because we were on a fast track and they wanted us to be successful. It was a grant program, and you know how grants are. You're only as successful with your money as your people are successful. I was lucky, and maybe I was spoiled. I don't know. But bottom line, I learned from people who were in the trenches, and I respected them, and I listened to them, and I implemented what they told me. Now, did I learn everything I needed to know to be successful as a principal or to be successful as a teacher? No, because life experiences also play into this, right? But it's really hard to have someone tell you how to manage a classroom who's never managed a classroom, right? It's really hard for someone to tell you how to write an effective lesson plan and then implement that plan in front of students if they've never done it, right? My son-in-law was a PE teacher, and he was telling me that he wanted to go into school leadership because eventually he wants to be athletic director of a district. And I said to him, absolutely, let's get you there, right? However, here's what I need you to do first. I need you to teach in a classroom. He'd only taught PE. PE is a different beast, right? I wanted to be a PE teacher. I have nothing against PE teachers. I love my son-in-law, and he worked for me. That's how I met him. But you don't go through the same experiences in the gym as you do teaching, or in Texas, a STAR-tested classroom or a first grade classroom, teaching students to read, to do math. There's something different about that dynamic. And he said to me, why do you think that? And I said, because you want the respect of the people you lead, and they will not listen and believe in what you tell them to do to improve if they don't respect the experiences that you've had. Because I know this, because I've been there. And you all listening today, you know this as well. If someone who ran an insurance company came to you and said, I'm going to teach you how to give parent communication, are you going to listen? Or are you more apt to listen to someone who has actually been a teacher, who has developed a system and has had great results with parents and the communication that they have together as a team. It's going to make a huge difference. So this week, my message to you all is this. Think about this when you're out there preparing for summer staff development, preparing for what you're listening to, what you're reading, what you're connecting with over the summer as you're preparing for your next school year, as you're wrapping up the school year, and even in the future, where you're getting your information, make sure it's reputable. Make sure it's someone who understands what you're doing. Because one, we don't have time to waste. And number two, we don't have money to waste, right? It's the bottom line. And things are not cheap and things are not simple. Unless you work with me, of course. However, having said that, just go out there and do your due diligence and make sure you're learning from the people that can give you what you need. Because it only takes a short little detour to derail an entire train. There's research out there that says if a student doesn't have an effective teacher for a year, it takes 2 years to catch them up. And if they don't have an effective teacher for 2 years in a row, they can never catch up. If we apply that research to the work we do as teachers, if we're continually having staff development from people that are not effective, who are not out there in the trenches, making this thing work, what's that going to do to your trajectory? And right now, y'all, let me just tell you, everybody wants to be an educational consultant. Everybody wants to be a coach. Everyone wants to be a staff development person. Everybody wants to write a curriculum. I even had one person tell me this week who is finishing their first year of teaching that they are now going into a role next year writing curriculum. I even had someone who in that circle of conversation say, oh, I'm going into curriculum writing too for young children who has only been a para in a middle school. But it's happening. So do your due diligence, find the right people to support you, because that's how we become uncommon. That's how we do hard better. All right, y'all. Have an amazing week. And I'll see y'all right back here next week on the Empower Ed Educator.